Look at me, 92, and I still enjoy swimming and golfing and biking, all sports.
Whoopee.
That too.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for any sports fan, or just looking to add some stuff to your own man cave? Then head on in to MVP Collectibles at the St. Augustine Outlets Mall. They carry Seminoles, Gators, Bulldogs, Canes, Longhorns, Bama, Buckeyes, Wolverines, Vols, you name it. They have Patriots, Jaguars, Titans, Dolphins, Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs, whoever you're looking for. Yankees, Red Sox, Cardinals, Braves, whoever you like. The best selection you'll ever find for the sports fan that thinks they have it all. That's MVP Collectibles in the St. Augustine Outlets Mall, Suite 245, right across from the food court in the St. Augustine Outlets Mall. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6. Get your man cave popping today at MVP Collectibles.
We are the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Real men of genius. Today we salute you, Mr. Fantasy Football Manager Guy. Every year you assemble your closest friends to prepare for another season in the knockdown, drag-out world of make-believe football. You were born with the one skill every manager needs to play fantasy football. Absolutely no skill playing real football. Mr. Fantasy Football Manager.
Make sure to join the Armchair Quarterbacks right here. You want to win your league? Then listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. And don't be scared to tap that app. Find the Armchair Quarterbacks app today.
Fantasy football time.
Hey, this party's getting a little too quiet. I think it's time we liven it up with my favorite gift, Mr. Microphone.
Hey, what's that?
Well, you set the dial on your FM radio and testing.
I'm on the radio! Over any FM car radio.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
I got one.
It's practical and great fun for the whole family.
This year, choose a yogurt that's right for you. With 2 grams of sugar per 5.3-ounce serving, Too Good Greek yogurt is too good to be true. So Delicious dairy-free yogurt and Silk yogurt alternatives are delicious plant-based swaps you can enjoy by the spoon or add to recipes. Oikos 000 yogurt and Light and Fit yogurt are tasty, non-fat yogurt options. So many flavors, varieties, and possibilities. Elevate any recipe and your everyday with yogurt. Shop at Target.
Hi, this is Britney Spears.
What up, this Jay-Z.
This is Jennifer Lopez. Armchair.
That's right, I stepped up. She's my friend and she needed help. If I had to, I'd pee on any one of you.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What is something that's completely legal that should be illegal?
Using your speakerphone in public. I barely want to listen to my own phone conversations, let alone yours in a Walmart. If I can hear you on speakerphone in a Walmart, you should have to pay for my stuff.
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks, CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. One day after Aaron Rodgers verbally agreed to the terms of his return to the Green Bay Packers, the team met one of his requests by bringing back receiver Randall Cobb. The Packers are on the verge of reacquiring Cobb, who will turn 31 in August, played his first 8 seasons in Green Bay, where he was one of Rodgers' go-to receivers in the slot. The trade will likely include a restructuring of the contract for Cobb, who is scheduled to make $8.25 million this season. And it looks like the Washington Nationals will now officially be in sell mode, as Steven Strasburg will undergo neurogenic thoracic outlet surgery to repair the nerve issue that has hurt his neck this summer. The Nationals hope he'll be ready for spring training in 2022. Max Scherzer is at the end of his contract and is scheduled to pitch Thursday. Most sources believe Max Scherzer will not make his start on Thursday and will be traded beforehand. It should be noted Scherzer is a 10-5 guy, meaning he can reject any trade. Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach Bruce Arians took issue Tuesday with the suggestion that his team has somehow violated league COVID-19 protocols by not wearing wristbands to identify which players have received the vaccine and which have not. Quote, "If I give you some information, at least know the effing rules before you put it in the press. Red and yellow bands, they do not have to wear them at practice. That's for indoors only. I've got to read blank that we should be fined for the red and yellow bands because they don't have them at practice. That's bull blank. If you're going to report this blank, make sure you know the effing blank right." A lot of blanks in that statement. The defending Super Bowl champions will begin to defend their title on Thursday, September 9th. We've got early action going on this Wednesday. 1:10 Eastern, Cardinals are at the Indians. Kim and Plesac. 7 o'clock, Yankees and Rays. Jordan Montgomery and Michael Wacha. That game can be seen on ESPN. And at 7:10 Eastern, it's the Braves and Mets again. Max Fried versus Tyler McGill. We've also got Mats and Tanner Hoke at that time. And at 8:05, Tyler Mahle, Zach Davies. It's the Reds and Cubs in Chicago. Other games across the board. At 1 o'clock, it's Willie Peralta and the Tigers. And the Twins will send J.A. Happ to the mound. 3:40, Astros and Mariners, Jake Odorizzi and Kikuchi. And at 4:10, Sean Manaea and his Oakland Athletics travel to San Diego to take on the Padres and Blake Snell. 7:05, first pitch. Marlins and Orioles, Jorge Lopez is on the mound. 7:05, Brewers and Pirates, Lauer and Cool. And Patrick Corbin and Zach Wheeler at that same time, the Nationals are in Philadelphia. At 8:05 Eastern, the Diamonds are at the Rangers. Madison Bumgarner is on the mound. And at 8:10, the Royals host the White Sox, Lucas Giolito and Chris Bubik. At 9:38 Eastern, Rockies and Angels, Chichi Gonzalez and Andrew Heaney are set to take place. And at 9:45, you got the Dodgers, you got the Giants. Once again, it's Walker Buehler and Anthony DeSclafani, two guys with ERAs well under 3. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Was tied, the bases full, crowd began to cheer.
Payoff pitch, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, here on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel. We go live talking fantasy baseball, DFS, all through the world of analytics. Sean O'Toole and Stephen Troche. It's the payoff pitch every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, talking fantasy baseball.
If you can make a hit in a ball game.
Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Sean O'Toole.
Good morning, Mr. Mac McGee. And I don't know much, but I know one thing. You woke up this morning in Seattle and read the paper. You would think your team is 10 games out of the wild card, not one. Oh, Lord, do we got to get into some trades this morning because I don't know what the Poto's doing, but he doing something. Ain't good something, though.
Hi, I'm Mac McGinn. I don't know much, but I know one thing. I will never respond to Sean O'Toole during an important baseball game ever again, you jinxie bastard, with the Aaron Nola thing. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback.
Got some friends coming over. Not a big thing. We're just going to watch the Nebraska game.
Oh, football. Sure.
Good guess.
I would have invited you, but I know you're not a football fan.
No, I'm not. So, great. You've got plans doing something you like. I've got plans doing something I like. So it's good.
Well, maybe we'll hang out later, after everybody's gone.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Well, this sucks.
I'm sorry, I got bored and drifted off. Where exactly in the interaction did the sucking lie?
Leonard just realized that Benny's been hiding him from her friends because he's a tiny little man who flies kites.
Oh, that certainly would suck.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel. He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. Mac McGee and Sean O'Toole. Sean, how the hell are you, sir?
You know, it's a good night when the Tigers and the Braves win. It's an even better night when the Tigers, Braves, and the Giants all win. We got a lot to get into today. I'm very excited to talk about Iowa State because,
that good football team. We got that on the way. It's Iowa Day here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. So don't say that we, ignore it all, that we only talk Southern football. We're going to talk Iowa State, who is very good this year, and Iowa, who's got a chance to be Iowa-like football, where you might underestimate them and you might be wrong. So you never know.
Very wrong.
Before we dive into that, Major League Baseball, their trading deadline's coming up, and some trades went down last night. And here's the thing: if you went to bed last night, you probably think that the Phillies have Tyler Anderson on the way.
They don't.
You would be wrong. The Mariners jumped in front of them and grabbed Tyler Anderson. The essentially what happened was the trade fell through, and there were some questions about one of the prospects. I believe it was his health concerns. And while the Phillies were scrambling, trying to figure it out, they were backstroking a little bit, saying it is what it is, blah, 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 blah. They said, cool, we'll send him to Seattle. Winner, chicken dinner. And Seattle now has Tyler Anderson, a lefty who's not he's not going to set the world on fire, but he's a bit of an innings eater. He's got an okay, I think he's got a 1.2 whip. And I think I saw it was about a high 3 ERA. He's not going to this isn't like Jose Barrios going to your team or something like that, but it makes it interesting because at the same time, Seattle goes out and they make another deal with an in-division rival who, by the way, happens to be in town playing you. You send one of your best bullpen pieces to them so that you can get so that you can get a controllable infielder for the next 4.5 seasons that they are very high on. Obviously, if they sent Graveman with his 0.2 ERA to the Astros, and then they also and then they also get a reliever in Joe Smith. I get the reason why they're doing this, and I'll tell you why I think they're doing it more than anything else, Sean. The lesser-known Seager is a free agent. Right.
Yep.
Is a free agent at the end of the year,
and could be the next domino to fall out of there. Which,
I definitely think they're moving Kyle Seager now, and so they're going to put the young kid that they got from Houston. Which, if you look at his stats, they're not going to jump off the page at you. I looked at it last night. I was like, that's not even worth.
If you Google him, the first thing you'll see is he was on third base during Verlander's no hitter. He made a couple of nice plays. He's nothing to write.
Better than the first thing you see if you Google one of us. So
probably.
But the point being of the entire situation is the Mariners are going to be movers and shakers. I believe they're going to move Seager now. Now, whether or not they already have some hits on him, I don't know who may want him. Maybe it is a situation where he could be heading to the Mets. I don't know. But the point is they could definitely, or they're just grabbing him for, we want this kid long term and we don't mind trying to make this run because They weren't even supposed to be in this.
Nope.
So they're a year or two ahead of schedule. The fact that they can still compete for a wild card and then build for the future, I think is very aggressive and actually very shrewd of the front office for Seattle. So I'm not hating them on it. I see the big picture and why they're doing it. If you do this and you are in a market like the Mets or the Yankees or Boston, they're going to flip the hell out. But you could do it in Seattle because they realize, especially when you've been so bad for the last few years, they're ready to start winning. They've got the best record in Major League Baseball in the last 6 weeks, by the way. I know that's gone under a lot of people's radar, and why wouldn't it? But let's go ahead and dive into the first quarter of the Armchair Quarterbacks today, because the trade possibilities are now endless. One of the reasons is Washington's officially out.
They're done.
Strasburg, neck surgery, he's gone. So he's done for the year. That means that Scherzer's heading somewhere, and he's supposed to pitch tomorrow night. Sean, I don't think he goes to the post. I think he gets moved before then, or they just don't move him in anticipation of trading him by Friday.
Bad news for my fantasy team because I own him in both. But yes, I don't know that he's going to make
bad news for the Braves.
Bad news for the Braves.
Braves fans wanted him to go. I believe he's going against Philly tomorrow night. I believe it's a 4-game set. I could have that mixed up. But regardless, bad news for anyone that wanted to see Max Scherzer go up against a team that I'll pull it up here in 1 second just to double check.
That the Braves are chasing. Yeah, I got you.
I want to double check to make sure that that's who he's playing tomorrow. Yes, it is. All right. Scherzer's supposed to go up against the Phillies at 1:00 tomorrow afternoon. He might get moved tonight.
Yeah, he could. I mean, the two teams that Rosenthal has been reporting are sniffing around him the most are the Dodgers and the Giants, who are obviously in an arms race to win that division. Right now the Giants have the upper hand. Where this is no longer a cute story. We're 100 games into the season. The Giants are here to stay. They're going to make, barring an epic collapse, like a 95 Angels level collapse, they're making it to the postseason. Man, if they pick up Scherzer, woo! The report is they have a little bit more to offer than the Dodgers do. That the Nationals like Joey Bart more than they like Ruiz. So those are both catching prospects for anybody who doesn't follow prospects the way I do. Joey Bart was the number 1 pick, I think 4 years ago for the Giants, was supposed to be the heir apparent to Posey, but Posey seems to be injecting that.
Been that long ago, man. I feel like Bart was right before the pandemic. I
thought it was 2016 or 2017. I could be wrong.
Really been that long? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'll look it up as you go along.
Yeah, I'll look it up. So, and then on the Dodgers side, they have a catching prospect that everybody likes, Ruiz, but I mean, he's kind of barricaded by Will Smith, who's young and really good. And even though they platoon him a lot for some reason, I think he's the Dodgers catcher.
I was right.
Was it 2018? Okay. I thought it was 17.
Well,
but yeah,
I mean, college baseball quite a bit. So I remember when he was in college baseball, they did a whole thing on it. I watched like 45-minute, and he had to walk both ways to school uphill in the snow, that kind of thing.
I think Scherzer ends up in one of those two places. He has 10-5 rights, so he can veto any decision. He seems to, his family, he was in Arizona for a long time. He seems to prefer, according to reports, to be, out west as opposed to on the East Coast. I don't even think he keeps a residence in Washington in the offseason. I think he lives somewhere else. So,
so I did a deep dive last night when I saw that the rumor was that he would prefer the West Coast. I was like, well, why is that? His wife is from Colorado and has a lot of family in California.
Gotcha.
So there you have
it. Well, that makes perfect sense then. So
as they always say, they always say follow the money trail. And if it's not because of the money, it's because of the wife, and they're usually hand in hand. So
that's one name. Cubs and Giants, reported late last night by Susan Slusser, have discussed, a variety of prospects for Chris Bryant. So if they strike out on Scherzer, Joey Bart could go for Chris Bryant.
Here's the other thing that popped last night. Did you see this thing with the Reds? Because that came out of nowhere. That the New York Yankees traded Luis Cessa and Justin Wilson from their bullpen to the Cincinnati Reds. Now what is strange about that, Sean, is that the Yankees have a better chance of making the playoffs via wild card than the Reds do of catching the division. But
You are correct.
But they're getting aggressive, and it makes me think that the Yankees are going to go, yeah, you can have our also rans. We going to go get Kimbrel. We going to go get this and that. You know what I mean? Like, so I think they were making room because they're going to get aggressive. There's no way the Yankees just sell off. They're like 3 games out of the wild card. Like, why the hell would you do that? Throw, by the way, I hate to go off on a side rant, but did you see the throw last night by Chris Bryant? I'm not Chris Bryant. I've got him on the
Bellinger. Board. Yeah, I was watching it live.
Bellinger
when he did it. Yeah, it was.
Yo, I couldn't get the video up in time.
It's important to remember that he doesn't play. He doesn't play first base much. He plays outfield more than first base. But
too much because
it was bad. I'm not making excuses. It was bad.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Don't you make excuses for Belly. He's standing at first base. He throws the ball towards third. It is 40 to 50 feet over the third baseman's head. It's not even close. It was like if you were playing.
If the net wasn't up, it would have killed a mother of 3. It was
it was like if you were playing football and they put a blindfold on you and you thought the guy was going deep and he ran a button hook. It was like that. It was that bad.
Right.
You just kind of look around and go, what in the hell did I just say?
Right. He had that California, I visited the dispensary in the middle of the afternoon look on his face where it's like, I was like,
and every Dodgers fan is saying, oh, now you've got an arm. Now you've got an arm. Where the hell was that the other day? All right. So anyways, back to the rest of the story, as they say.
Give me one team you're really interested in, because I'm really interested in what the Twins do. Apparently, they're asking a lot for Buxton, which is really surprising to me because I didn't. I knew he was always a joke that it's long been a joke that he's the #1 prospect in baseball and he's always hurt. I actually heard Jim Bowden say it on The Athletic. He's actually only played 1 full season if you count playoff games. Like in the last 5 years, he's only played a total of 1 full season in the last 5 years. And they're asking for like 2 prospects in your top 15 for him, and he can walk. I mean, he's they can make him a qualifying offer, but
he can't walk this year. He can walk. They have 1 year control after this year.
Is it 1 year control? Okay, I
honestly think
he turned down $75 million, which is like, dude, you're made of glass. What are you doing?
Right. I believe that he's what they're doing is they're making it absurd because they're planning on bringing him back for 1 more year. That's what I believe. Because Minnesota, for all their faults in the playoffs and whatnot, they don't tend to rebuild. They tend to reload. They do put money in for a team that sits in the Midwest that doesn't have a huge population, so to speak. They put money into their teams. I mean, they're very
Donaldson, Gibson, Cruz, all guys that they spent money on.
By the way, I was so pissed off last night. Cruz, the end of the Yankees Rays game, he walked a 3-0 count on Chapman. He had just walked the tying run to first base. A 3-0 pitch, Chapman guzzled one down the middle. It was a little inside, so I got it. But then he took another fastball just like that for the second pitch, and then on a 3-2 count whiffed at a slider. I'm like, dude, if you just would have the reason why they call you King Kong, man, swing that damn bat, swing that building, slam this. Brought you to slam that ball out the building. I'd sit there and to watch yourself, just work yourself into a nightmare against that bazooka arm. I know he's had struggles, but I think Cruz was trying to get walked to try to, because we need you on first base because you're such fleet of foot. Let's do that. Hit the ball out the building, you jackass. Okay.
Tough stuff.
Back to the rest of the story. Paul Harvey show here today. So you're talking Twins. They're going to ask for less to get your boy Barrios.
Yep.
Because he's going to be a free agent. That's why I think they're asking for the moon and stars. They want to rebuild their team quick and cheaply. And so, but do you think anyone's going to make that move? You know who's dumb enough is the New York Mets.
Oh, are they ever.
This smells like a New York Mets stupid thing, right? Let's get Buxton. Let's lock him into a $200 million deal. That way we'll have $500 million locked up between him and Lindor, and we'll never compete ever again. And DeGrom's going to walk because we're not going to have enough money. Or when we go to lock up DeGrom, the entire thing's on the
Bobby Bonilla payment plan.
No. What do they call it? Not salary cap tax, but that's
luxury tax.
Luxury tax.
Tax.
Yep. Right. So I could see Buxton just ended up with the Mets. He gets hot or something for like 3 weeks, and they lock him in for 10 years. That would be my dream.
10 years, 300 million.
But here's, Cubs sending Chris Bryant to the Giants is starting to heat up. That could be huge.
Ooh, boy. Because he can play third. They're still without Longo. And they've had a bottom, I think it's like a bottom 7 OPS plus out of their outfield. Duggar's been the only guy that's really performed. Yastrzemski, for as much as I like him, actually hasn't hit very well this year. They're just kind of piecing it together out there with Dickerson and Ruff. So, they can put Bryant at third for now and then put him in right field when Longoria comes back. That gives their postseason prospects a lot of juice. They could be in the market for some arms in the bullpen too. They have been rumored to be shopping in Jed Hoyer's, neck of the woods with the Cubs for both Kimbrel and Bryant. I don't know who's going to get Kimbrel. I think he's going to get shopped somewhere, but they're asking for so much for him.
I feel like he's going to American League. I feel like it's going to be. Yeah. I feel like it's going to be a Red Sox landing. It just smells like it. The Red Sox really aren't. It's so crazy because you look at that roster. The offense is really good. The pitching, they've caught lightning in a bottle with a couple of guys. I think they're going to try to add a starter, and I think they would prefer to add an elite reliever. And there is no, and they know what they get from him. Now, if they don't go after him, they don't sniff after him. That tells you that they don't believe in him. But it looks like he has righted whatever was wrong with him over the last few years. It looks like he's back to being Kimbrel-like. You could mess up the dynamic in the locker room if you bring him in, make him the closer, and Barnes is the 8th inning guy. Is that going to piss off Barnes, et cetera, et cetera? But
Boston could be a destination to watch for Berrios and Rogers, not Buxton, but just Berrios and Rogers. Because that's all it's needs for them.
Berrios, I could definitely see going to Boston. He could be a game changer because they're getting Chris Sale back within a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And so they're going to have Sale. Eovaldi, we know what he does in the playoffs.
Erod, Pavetta.
Right now, I'm looking for a Boston-Houston showdown in the ALCS is the way it's shaping up. I know the White
feels like it's Boston, Houston, or Boston, Houston, Tampa, Chicago are the only 4 teams I can really see being left standing at the end right now. Again, there's still 60 games, give or take, in the season, but those are really the 4 that I think could be left standing.
For the Rays to make a run, they're going to have to get Glasnow back, and he can't be like half-ass, right? You can't.
Right.
We're going to just try to limit him to 2 innings. Like he's got to be Glasnow going in there, getting 6-7 innings, and they're going to have to make some kind of move in the overall trade deadline, some kind of a starting pitcher, maybe not a Berrios, but they need to make a move, Sean, where I'm saying a guy can go in and you can expect him to at least eat 6 innings every time he goes out and pitches over these next few weeks. Does that have to be elite?
I've said it a few times over the last couple of months because they've worked together in the past on deals that flew under the radar, but don't discount the Detroit Tigers who have made a lot of deals with Tampa over the years. They got Matt Boyd to sell. They got Michael Fulmer to sell. Guys who I think Boyd is in a final year of arbitration or at least has a qualifying option for this year. Fulmer is a straight up free agent. It's a guy who they've used as an opener. They've used as a closer. Again, he won he was top 10 in the Cy Young before he blew his elbow out. And won Rookie of the Year. I think that was 17 or 18. It feels like it was 100 years ago now, thanks to the COVID year. So I would keep an eye on those names because the Rays like to shop in the discount section. And those guys both would come at a discount because they've kind of had some injury plagued seasons.
Yeah, and the other big thing that I think that you got to see is where's Rizzo going. Rizzo might be the one guy they keep and they try to build around because he's a fan favorite.
So popular.
Baez, I know I was joking about Buxton, but I believe Baez is going to be a Cub. I believe Javi Baez is getting traded there. And I believe that the Cubs are going. Remember something about that. Him and Lindor are very good friends. They played together in the World Baseball Classic. I mean, they're just like best of buds. He comes over and plays well. The Mets are going to try to lock him up and have a Lindor Baez infield where I would say Baez will just slide over to second base. Or maybe you put Lindor at second base. I don't. In today's game, until they ban the shift, it doesn't realistically matter. You could,
as a Braves fan, I would love to see Javi Baez and his nearly like 40% strikeout rate in the NL East for the next 7 years. That's fine.
As long as they can lock him up to a deal worth well over $200 million. That
8 years, 240. Do it, Cohen. You coward.
Let's
new
go.
owner. Coward.
No, come on, Mets. Let's get it done.
Come on, Mets. Let's do it.
While you're at it, extend McCann's deal because he hasn't done crap all year. And then they give him a 4-year deal. Let's go ahead and lock him up into the early part of next decade while we're at it. Real quick before we hit the break, a couple of teams who are going to be out there making major moves. The Dodgers
need so much.
They just
started pitching. I mean, Bauer's not. You're not seeing Bauer again this year. I'm sorry.
I don't think you are either. They just extended his thing. I'll get more into that on the
to the 6th. They're just going to keep extending it. They're just going to keep extending it until the season's over.
Yeah, I'll get more into that on the Take Me Out to the Ball Game that comes out at the bottom of this next hour. But long story short, he's got 3 court dates that he has to go to. One is like the 3rd and the 4th, or the 2nd and 3rd, whatever the hell it is. And then there's 13 days or 16 days. It's the 2nd and the 3rd, and then 16 days in between that and the second one, which is the 19th. Okay. So they're going to extend, because they extended to the 6th. They're going to extend it to at least the 20th. And oh, by the way, guess what August 19th was supposed to be? Trevor Bauer Bobble Day at Dodger Stadium.
Pretty sure that's canceled.
They pulled that last night. They said, it ain't gonna happen. So I'm gonna be looking on eBay for Trevor Bauer bobblehead, man, because from the Dodgers, that thing's gonna be worth something, man. I'm telling you. Any last thoughts before we jump to break and come back into football?
Yeah, if you're gonna get the Trevor Bauer bobblehead, just make sure you don't get the the troll one that says with Kung Fu grip action on the box. You don't want that in your collection.
I believe the Braves will make minor moves, nothing earth shattering.
Yep.
The only earth shattering move they may make on a sneaky deal.
Gallo.
Well, no, I was saying Morton. Morton pitching really well. They've got a lot of young arms. They're going to lose him at the end of this year. They probably won't re-sign him, which is a shame because I really enjoyed watching him pitch. But I believe he'll go elsewhere. I doubt he comes back to Atlanta. Maybe they do. But you've got Enoa coming back off the IL. You've got Mueller. Next year you're going to have freaking Soroka back. Hopefully.
Yep.
You've got Freed. We don't even talk about Tucker Davidson anymore. He pitched phenomenally. I don't even know if we'll see him again till like late September. And
the guy I'm going to see Friday night, Tukey.
And the emergence of Tukey Toussaint. So they could trade him to get a piece for this year to help their bullpen and say, let's go. And so but it's got to be to a contender, or they just trade for future pick, prospect,
future assets,
and maybe turn one of their prospects into going and get a reliever. They've got to get some guy. They got to get Ian Kennedy because I don't think they can afford Kimbrel. I want Kimbrel because I want to see this coming out of the bullpen one last time for the Atlanta Braves. That'd be really cool, but I don't think they're gonna. If I'm the Atlanta Braves, if I'm AA right now, we have already pulled off the deal for Kimbrel. That happened 3 weeks ago. And we're probably tied for first right now with the Mets. But
right.
Well, you know, I've got the 5th or 6th best farm system according to MLB Pipeline, and that's important. Well, where are your rings at, you jackass? All right, we'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. When we come back, it is Iowa football day, and we're going to come back in a big way. This will be a short break. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
The only one who's going to tell me when I'm through doing my thing is you people here.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines two of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infinium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
You get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. So much, I'm going to have to speed things up. You can get the Farmers Signal app, and that could get you up to 15% off your auto policy. That's just for using the app and driving like the normal speed limit, hearing, full stop, making lane change, signaling human being you are. Get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. Start with a quote by calling 1-800-FARMERS.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
Good night.
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Areola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live, or catch the instant replay. USA Olympics Committee just released a statement saying after further medical evaluation, Simone Biles is pulling out of the individual Olympics, which that news has already, it was released about 10 hours ago, but they're releasing that statement, really. After further medical evaluation. After further medical evaluation, if you're dropping out of the Olympics, it better be a torn ACL. Hey, here's the thought. Lie to us. That's what I would have done. I wouldn't have
can't do that. There's too many Twitter reporters nowadays. So they gotta
crutch, dude. I would not have laid on that crutch of gotta do my mental health. It's been really difficult to be me. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get in my car. My driver is honking at me.
Your boy Clay Travis had a field day on Twitter last night. Boy, it was like watching a dog, stare at ribs, lying on the kitchen floor.
I don't know what he said. I didn't see it. I had some fun with it this morning on Take Me Out to the Ball Game. It'll, like I said, it'll drop at the bottom of the hour. I'll put it to you this way. I find a lot of enjoyment out of the fact that your girl, Asaka.
Who's my girl?
Asaka.
My girl?
Did
I not open the show last week, putting pins in her? Come on.
That's why
knock
she's
it
your
off.
girl. That's why she's your girl.
Okay.
But the fact that she got doused in straight sets on her home court, essentially. I mean, they might as well be playing in her backyard. After she took off the last, 6 to 8 weeks, because she needed to focus on her mental health.
Right.
Focus on these.
While she had 19 magazine covers coming out, which was part of my opening last week.
And of course, she played the victim on that too. Oh, that was several
Sure
weeks ago, boy. Well, maybe that led to your mental health. I'll tell you the biggest thing that I would be upset about this, and then we'll jump on to the football. If I am one of your sponsors, screw you, man. I'm dropping you.
I'm running, jumping ship as fast as I can.
2024,
can't cut bait fast enough.
Sean, 2024, if Biles comes back, she's an alternate. We'll see what happens when we get out there. We'll see how
Wasn't this her 4th Olympics or 3rd? I mean, they don't usually do as many as she's already done. This is her 3rd?
It's at least her 3rd, because 16 was the one where she really shone.
Yeah, that just seems like a long way from now. I mean, even
it's only 2 years though, man, because you start qualifying for it next year. So it's a lot quicker than normal because you don't have the 4-year break. I'm not saying she's going to do it. I'm saying she could do it. Most of them end up just going and doing it professionally and say to hell with it. And even though they're not any good and they're not elite anymore, they end up drawing big time money. I think the first person I think of is the figure skater Christy Yamaguchi, who made a fortune after
doing auditorium shows. Yep.
And they asked her later on down the road why she didn't compete in more Olympics. She said, I didn't want to hurt my brand. And so this is what happened to Simone Biles. For people that missed it and think it's really got something to do with mental health, you're an absolute sheep. You're absolute sheep. You're a fool. I watched it last night. I happened to wake up in the middle of it being aired, whether it was a rerun or whether it was live, according to NBC. I don't know, but she missed the landing.
Yeah.
She busted ass, basically missed the landing and immediately left after that. Started putting on her shirt and clothes and pants and saying, y'all be great. Y'all be great. I can't handle this. I got to be here. And then the jackass stood in the building, quote unquote, cheering them on. You could do it. You could do it. You could do it, girl. You can't do it. Shut the hell up and get back in the locker room. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Take your ass back to the United States or wherever the hell you want to go, because we're trying to focus on something. And I don't need you as a distraction. I speak on this from my many years of performing gymnastics in big situations. Usually around last call. Okay. But anyways, and rant on all of that. Let's dive into football. Let's get the Iowa Hawkeyes out of the way, because the Iowa State Cyclones are much more intriguing. But Iowa, look, every year you figure Iowa's good for somewhere between 7 to 9 wins.
Yep.
Even on years when they're not that good, they can still sneak into the Big Ten title game. That's
sure can, especially in the West, which is, usually Wisconsin and Iowa, is pretty much the jam. I mean, Northwestern upset the apple cart last year, but it's usually Wisconsin and Iowa. So brief disclaimer, Kirk Ferentz is in his 23rd season. He had a pretty tough year last year, man. Guy tested positive for COVID, had some pretty bad symptoms. And there was a lot of pretty tough reporting about the Iowa program, in the middle of the season, basically, and coming into the season, concerning
claims.
Previous strength and conditioning coach, Chris Doyle, was relieved of his duties, and he'd been there for a long time. And Ferentz, to his credit, admitted, he kind of had a blind spot, where this guy was concerned. He just let him handle the strength and conditioning, and I guess he bent a couple of kids until they broke, and that's, just, I guess, not the way you can conduct business anymore in the age of woke.
And remember something about Chris Doyle. Never forget this, fans. Urban Meyer hired him right after this happened.
Immediately. Didn't even wait.
So if you ever think Urban Meyer's a good guy, And I don't even know if Chris Doyle's even guilty of any of this.
Nope.
Okay, because a lot of stuff was going on last summer where everyone was crying wolf, right?
Yep.
But why the hell do you hire this guy? I mean, dude, that's not the look you want. You get him cleared of all of his charges and give him another chance. I get that. This is not the look you want. So anyways, that's just a side note for the Jaguar fans and Gators and Ohio State fans. I know a lot of people still love Urban Meyer, but bro, if you don't think that guy is just filthy, you're just wrong. You're wrong on so many levels.
Filthy. So couple notes about just kind of depth and what's returning. A lot of hard hits to graduations and to the NFL. I don't have the exact numbers. You might have them as far as the guys returning on offense and defense, but I counted at least 7 or 8 last night that are not returning on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, they've got 5 guys on offense returning, and they've got 7 guys on defense. But the guys that they lost on defense were basically their entire defensive line and that's where their bread was buttered. Iowa won the trenches. Here's something I think a lot of people that was missed. Iowa started off 0-2, and they lost to Purdue and they lost to Northwestern. I think a lot of people compartmentalized it and just put it out. They finished the season 6-0.
They did.
So they got things figured out, and the Spencer Petras, the quarterback who is going to be expected to be the quarterback this year, he's not known as like some great quarterback. He's actually
very typical Iowa quarterback. Yep.
Yeah, struggles with his accuracy. That's his biggest issue. But they've got a running back, Tyler Goodson, who was all Big Ten. They've got an All-American center in Linderbaum. And they've got Sam Laporta, who a lot of people think could be the next great.
He is
Iowa tight end. Remember, so Iowa has brought some tight ends in the league. I remember a couple of years ago in the middle of the draft,
Kittle, Hawkinson.
Yeah, I remember Justin and I going, "The hell are they doing in Iowa? Like, where does this come from?" So just keep an eye on him for the next draft, Sam Laporta, because I'm just going to assume he's going to be the next great thing. But their defense, it was gutted. Their defensive line was gutted, was the basic thing. The only defensive player or defensive lineman that's coming back, starter, he's a super senior coach. He's a super senior. It's Zach Valkenburg.
Yep.
That's it. Now they
5th season.
Right. Now their entire secondary returns, and I think it's going to be a typical Iowa year where they're going to move the ball on the ground with Goodson, and they're going to try to lean on their defense. But my feeling, Sean, is that defense won't be up to par at the beginning. It'll take them a while to mesh, and they'll finish off strong. But when you start off with Indiana, Iowa State, and then you've got Penn State and Wisconsin in October, I still see this team getting to about 7-5, 8-4, going to a decent bowl game. But that's the ceiling for me, mainly because I think this team's going to start off 0-2. I think Indiana's going to beat them. I think Iowa State's going to beat them. So it's going to be a tough road after that to try to. I'm going to guess 7-5, because when you lose your first 2, it's really hard to rattle off that many wins down the stretch. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, they're going to want to control the ground. They're going to want to control the line of scrimmage. That's always been the trademark of Ferentz's teams. And you're trying to replace 2 defensive linemen who were drafted in the first 2 rounds of the draft, and Davion Nixon and Chauncey Golston. They're just gone. And you're not going to replace that overnight. You're just not. I really believe in Phil Parker. He's good defensive coordinator, but their strength is on the back end, not in the lines. So you're going to be able to run on them. And look at what they start with. I mean, right out of the gate, you're starting with the Hoosiers, and then Breece Hall and Brock Purdy come, you got to go to Ames and face Breece Hall and Brock Purdy, who we're going to talk about in a second. You're starting off 0-2. And, Penn State's at home, but you're at Wisconsin, at Northwestern, and one of the last 3, Minnesota, Illinois, and at Nebraska. I just don't think they'll run the table there. One of those 3, they'll get tripped up. So 7-5.
It's a bad sign when I always get my books. So I read both of my college football books, and then I always say I'm going to grab two outlets on the web just so that it's updated. And it's bad when the basic theme was in bragging on that punter from Melbourne, Australia. All right, Maisie, he could be one of the best punters in the nation. Well, that's probably because you get so much practice. So that's not good, you know. And look,
can we stop with punter and kicker culture? I had enough of it during the Florida State Miami game last year when we, you know, this is like 30 minutes on College Game Day about the Miami dude with the tattoos and the mustache, and he looks 50, 32 years old. Can we just stop with punter culture? Nobody cares.
Right. You were there to make sure that you don't do something stupid and shank it out of bounds, and that's about it.
There's one punter in the history of football in the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton, and most people don't think he should be in. So he's just like, he's the first one that was any good. So they put him in. Ray Guy. That's it. Like, stop with punter culture.
Did Ron Stark not make it? He should have.
I don't know. I thought Ray Guy was the only punter in Canton. I could be wrong about that for another time.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you probably will never see another one again because the game has changed so much, right? That by the way, Ron Stark is still kicking. He's 77, lives in Plainfield. But Ron Stark, for people who don't remember him, was a punter at Florida State and then went on to the Colts for years. And but the game has changed so much. Back then, when Ray Guy and Ron Stark were considered the two best punters in football.
Yep.
They were needed because you punted about 5 to 7 times a game. Now,
yes,
man,
you did.
You punt that much? No, I guess Ron Stark didn't make it. He should have been. He punted from 82 to 97. But 4-time Pro Bowler. The GOAT. Anyways. The GOAT of punting. If you punt that much now, your coaching staff's looking for a job. Reggie Roby.
Yep.
I would put Reggie Roby in that conversation too. What I loved about him is he always wore the wristband and would start the timer when he punted because he wanted to know his hang time. that was swag before people knew what swag was. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Iowa State. Things that are team that shouldn't be punting very often this year.
Should not.
This team's loaded. 19 of 22 starters are back,
including 2 Heisman candidates at quarterback and running back.
Right. You get 2 Heisman candidates in the same backfield. Breece Hall, people who haven't seen him play, wow, he can run. And then Brock Purdy, he is the brother of Purdy down at Florida State. But
Chuba.
Yeah, I think he pronounces it Chuba, but whatever.
Is it Chuba?
I think if you call him Chuba, he says you're fat shaming him. Or called him a pervert. Anyways, Brock Purdy is going to most likely be day 1, day 2 at the very latest draft.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be a top pick.
Barring injury.
A lot of people thought he was going to come out this year. It was a little strange that he didn't, but I think he read the room and felt like he's got a much better chance of going higher if he comes back one more year. And if he puts a team together like I can see, we won't do our predictions right now for conference. We're going to hold off for that until about a month from now. But this team is right there for the Big 12 championship, in my opinion. And I think it's Big 12 or bust. And they might even be college football playoff or bust. That's how high the expectations are.
I agree wholeheartedly. I agree wholeheartedly. I mean,
what if Iowa State makes the college football playoffs and Oklahoma and Texas laying an egg in the SEC? Nah, man, we're good. We don't need you.
Hey, I mean, listen, there's a lot of, we haven't talked about the whole big, I'm sure you have on other shows about the whole Big 12, splintering thing and Oklahoma and Texas leaving. I mean, there's a lot of scuttlebutt that the Big Ten's going to be sniffing around if those teams are just left standing there to grab. I mean, Iowa State is going to be choice 1
I believe
for the
Iowa
Big Ten.
I believe Iowa State ends up in the Big Ten.
I do too. It makes sense. I mean, you stick them in the West and I don't want to see that.
Yeah, the only thing that would stop it that a lot of people don't understand with these things are you got to think about the big picture and whether or not Iowa would raise Cain about it, and do they have enough?
Which they would, but if the other 11 teams or 12 teams in the conference all want it, then you're outvoted.
Yeah, it just really depends because that's what kept Florida State out of the Southeastern Conference for decades. And Florida State finally became a very attractive spot. And the ACC gave Florida State an offer they couldn't refuse. Then the SEC came calling, and Florida State's like, "What are you nuts? Do you realize what they're going to give us for the first several years we're in the ACC? Nah, man, we good." But that kind of stuff, it was just like the A&M thing. He hasn't said one word about it since. But when it first happened, the athletic director and the president both spoke out against having Texas coming back to the SEC, and everyone's forgotten about that. And then all of a sudden, the last several days, I haven't heard him speak out at one iota, not one bleep about it. And I guess
money talks and everything else walks. Back to Iowa State really quick, because I want to talk about the defense for a minute, because I don't think the defense gets nearly the attention that it should. I mean, they have probably, I wouldn't even say probably, they definitely have, the best linebacker in probably all of college football.
Mike Rose.
Yeah, Mike Rose. They're loaded at cornerback and in the back end. All of their cornerbacks and strong safeties are returning guys, I think, except for one. I mean, this team is ready to roll, man. I mean, this could seriously be, you said it, I don't want to do a lot of hyperbole, but you look at their schedule, at Oklahoma is definitely the toughest game that's on the schedule, in my opinion. They start off Northern Iowa, at UNLV, at Baylor, home for Kansas. That at K-State game in the middle of October worries me because, man, every year I swear I lose or win money on somebody going into Manhattan and getting offended. It's always somebody, so I hope it's not Iowa State. But, I mean, they could be undefeated going into that Oklahoma game. Easy. They could be 9-0.
I was laughing at you. I saw the clip again of Bellinger. What I forgot about the first time we mentioned it, he double pumps.
He did. He double pumped.
And then literally,
well, he faked the second, and then he threw to third, and it was like 50 feet over the net. And he was like, oh, man, I got that bad dispensary today. Oh, California juice. Oh,
man. See, what had happened was, all right. Yeah, so this is the way I look at this. They've got 2, maybe 3 games that they're concerned with this year. The Iowa game you're going to be concerned with regardless because it is a rivalry and anyone can win that.
Second game of the year too.
Right. Outside of that, Texas and Oklahoma are the only 2 teams that I see concern me. Going to West Virginia, you don't ever know what the hell you're going to get from West Virginia, especially when you're up there in Morgantown. That could be dangerous. But I don't think they're going to be an underdog in any game except the November 20th showdown at Oklahoma.
I don't even know if they're going to be an underdog then.
Spencer Rattler and company's got. By the way, that's what we're doing on Friday. Oklahoma, Texas.
Ooh. I mean, put me down for. I don't see them going 10-2. I think they're 11-1 or they're undefeated. I don't know if it's going to be at Oklahoma, but if they get tripped up at all, I think it's not going to be more than once. And I mean, you can talk me into this team going undefeated. I am not a big Rattler guy. I did not like what I saw from him at times last year. And until Lincoln Riley shows to me he can build a defense, I'm just never going to take them seriously because I've seen them get just pummeled too many times when they've been in the playoff. This could be the team that upsets the apple cart this year. This could be the surprise team that's the fourth one. It's still just 4 this year, right? I know they're talking about the extension to 8, but that wouldn't start till like 23 or 24, right?
They're talking about an extension to 12. They're going crazy. I hear 12 more than I hear 8, and that's a little strange. I thought 8
you got to get back the money you lost last year somehow. It's a business. They're going to do it. So
I just hate.
It's inevitable.
I hate it, and we don't go into deep dive on this, but once again, if you put too many teams in these playoffs, you're going to cheapen the regular season, and the regular season is what makes college football the best.
It really does.
Without the regular season being a, man, we got to win every game thing. Without that,
college football just kind of falls in everything else, because the product is not necessarily that great when you look at it in a broad scope, right? But it's the fact that you got to win every game, and you're antsy, and every game matters, and blah blah blah. If you can keep it under 8, I think you still have that. If you have 7, if you have 6, you get to 12, dude. There's gonna be games where you're like, hey, we want to go to dinner. Ohio State, Michigan's playing tonight. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if we win that, because we're gonna make the playoffs anyways. Yeah, so let's go to dinner. And you're gonna be like, whoa, where the hell did this come from, right? Because did you see your boy Leach? Did you see what he said about it? He wants to go to 64.
Stop
it wasn't joking.
That guy's drunk
all the time, but
all the time drunk.
But that's not the point. The point is he wants to go to 64. It's like 64. You're just trying to find a way to get yourself from the playoffs so you can save your job. Things ain't looking so well after week 1 versus after that LSU game. The whole thing was a crap. It was been a crap factory there at Mississippi. But 64, who the hell doesn't get in?
Week 1 of the college football playoff, MTSU versus North Central
Alabama.
Nebraska.
It'll be MTSU versus Alabama. Who cares about that crap? And we're gonna have to play them on like Tuesday morning because we're not gonna have enough time to put it. No, 64. No, I don't even want 12. I think 12 is too many.
Yeah, I'm fine with 8. I'm not fine with anything beyond that. But
7 is enough, because you gotta have when it's all said and done, you gotta have a reason why the top team in the country doesn't want to lose its conference game, because they want to buy.
Right.
So, and I get that you're going to get that with the 12, right? Because you're going to get 4 buys. That's too many buys. You either give me 8. I'm sorry. You either give me 7 or give me like 9 or 10. Something where there's got to be a buy. Bama's got to have a reason to win the SEC championship game. If not, like freaking Missouri's going to sneak in there again. Nobody wants that. All right, it's time to turn back time. Get the hell on out of here. I knew we weren't going to have time for the basketball, but that's okay. When it's all said and done. I mean, is anyone by the way, Olympics?
Forbes isn't listening. He's the only person that cares about basketball.
He doesn't even watch basketball. I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, I heard about that. I'm like, you're not even watching it? Oh, no. He is... He's off the reservation. He still follows sports like a true fan, but he reads the entire thing. I'm like, you don't even take in what's the fun part of it, which is actually watching the athletic.
Right, watching.
If I had to just read about it all the time, my God. I don't even think he watches the news anymore, because he only reads about it. Because there was something, I won't get into it, but there was something he didn't know about that happened in Jacksonville about a year ago, and he had no idea that it went down. I'm like, dude, where were you? But I don't even watch local news, but good God, it was like flooded at me. All right.
There was a shooting during a basketball game up the street from Forbes's house. Oh yeah, I read about that. What?
You got shot. Yeah, I read about that. I don't know what happened.
Shot. I read about that.
I'm waiting for them to come out with the following article to find out why I was in that melee. I don't really recall. We kid because we love. All right. On this date in 1979, you were just a wee little feller, and Dave Kingman.
2 years old.
Dave Kingman hit a pair of round trippers.
Oof.
Becomes the 6th player in Major League history to hit 3 home runs in one game twice in a season. Sky King's trio of long flies isn't enough. The Cubs still lose. Drop it to the Mets, and the Mets weren't even that good that year. Also on this date, 1929, the Chicago Cardinals become the first team to train out of the state of Michigan. So I figured you would enjoy that, which eventually led to the Detroit Lions, which eventually led to one of my favorite books of all time. If people have not read it, The Paper Lion. All right. It's your birthday today. All right, dead guy. Let's grab the dead guy first. Dead guy. Freddie Fitzsimmons, American baseball pitcher. He had the Major League Baseball record of career double plays. 79 for a pitcher from 38 to 64. He also managed the Phillies and passed away in 1979. How old would he have been if he was alive today? He never would have made it. I always thought that was the funniest line Seinfeld ever did. Costanza's dad, he never would have made it. It's like that's what they asked you. Man, is he really 78 years old? Bill Bradley, U.S. Senator, dirty Democrat, but born in
New York Knicks legend.
New York Knicks legend, born in Crystal City, Missouri. I remember he was one of the first people that when I found out he played sports, I was like shocked as a kid that a kid could go play basketball and then turn around and get voted in. Like, because when you're young, you're thinking, well, you have to be really qualified to be in office. At that point, I realized, oh, no, you just be popular. It just has nothing.
Right.
Like,
popularity contest.
It was like that groundbreaking moment in my head as a kid. I was like, oh, you don't actually have to be good at politics or good at passing bills. You just have to be popular. That's how you get in there.
I realized that in the 10th grade when I ran for student council and lost to, we'll just say, a member of the cheerleading squad who was a hobby horse for the football team. So I learned the popularity contest lesson early. My walk-off is a hockey one. So you would be remiss if you weren't paying as much attention to hockey free agency as I was. Shame on the Vegas Golden Knights, who everybody on this show despises for the way they built their team. Kelly McCrimmon trading Marc-Andre Fleury, who just won the Vezina Trophy and is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion and has won the Hart Trophy as the most outstanding player in the playoffs, trading him to the Blackhawks for essentially nothing because when notified, when telling his agent he was going to be traded, his agent basically, or that they were looking for deals for him, Marc-Andre Fleury's agent basically said he's probably going to retire. He's not going to want to play anywhere else. So they basically got him for nothing just to get off his $7.5 million. I hope he does retire, and I hope nothing but horrible things for the Vegas Golden Knights, who I despise. And despite your previous proclamations, the Seattle Kraken did not do it the dirty way. They actually took young players in the expansion draft. So I'm proud of you, Ron Francis.
That's interesting.
Thanks for not being the Vegas Golden Knights.
That's interesting because Justin was convinced that they were going to do it. And actually,
they had chances. I mean,
a lot of
Duchesne, Tarasenko, they were there and they avoided all those guys. They want to win long-term and build something in Seattle. I applaud Ron Francis for that. And shame on you, Vegas, yet again. Everybody hates you.
My walk-off it is the 30th, and it's hard to believe. This just makes me feel so old. It is the 30th anniversary of Dennis Martinez's perfect game. And I remember like it was yesterday. Because
El Presidente.
Yeah, back
Loved
then,
him.
man, that was a big deal. It would still be a big deal to this day.
Perfect games are still a big deal, but
Right.
no hitters are not.
But it was just unheard of. And he did it with the Montreal Expos, which was another big thing. He did it in Los Angeles. So Dennis Martinez, one of the most underrated players, I think, in the history of baseball. He is in the Baltimore Orioles Hall of Fame. I guess the Expos may not have a Hall of Fame, which is stupid because they need one. Maybe the Nationals need to make a Expo Hall of Fame or something, or when they get a new team. But Dennis Martinez, one of the all-time greats, 4-time All-Star, and El Presidente.
One of my favorite pitcher nicknames as a kid, man. El Presidente is just so good.
And I did not realize that he pitched as long as he did, 22 years.
Pitched for a long time. He was around for a minute.
One thing a lot of people forget, he was in Atlanta Brave. Very, very short period of time, but he was in Atlanta Brave in 98. All right, brother. Great job. We will see you. No, we won't see you Saturday. You're heading to.
I will be in Atlanta. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. The Braves game.
Hank Aaron weekends. Looking forward to enjoying myself, but we'll see y'all next Wednesday.
you'll be there just in time to welcome in Kimbrel out of the bullpen as he
I hope. Hey, Friday night, Corbin Burns versus Tukey. Let's go. That's a good pitching matchup. That's what I get to see.
That is a
I'm
good.
love it.
Yeah. Hopefully Tukey can do it 3 times in a row. I keep waiting for that dud, which is, it's going to happen. I just hope it's not. I hope it's like next year in April or something. All right. We'll see.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get